Hey, Foilers. Ben and I need your help as we continue to work to grow it for God and increase the amount of listeners to the podcast. Here's what you can do to help. Head on over to our website, thetfhc.com, and be sure to sign up for the email newsletter. Doing so will make sure you get content as soon as it's available. Also, join us over at the Tinfoil Hat Club podcast page on Facebook, and be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share with everyone you think would enjoy the show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for being fantastic and for all the love and support. Now, back to the show. Hello and welcome to the Tinfoil Hat Club. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back, y'all. So, it's very Midwestern with my y'all there.
Y'all.
I was throwing those in a couple times. Y'all. Welcome back, y'all. So, Ben and I have decided on the heels of our last discussion that we are going to cover the most cliched of all foily things. And we're going to talk about aliens.
All right.
Or demons.
All right.
Or aliens. Instead of a demon and an alien have a baby, they have an alien.
That would be freaky.
It would be freaky if you believe in aliens.
If you believe in demons.
If you believe in demons.
Yeah.
We've probably got some people that don't believe in demons.
That's right.
So, yeah. I know for you, you're more in the demon camp.
Yeah.
And I'm a weirdie. I'm kind of mixture. I kind of don't land in any camp. I think there's some things that are demons. I think there's some things that are alien potentially. And I think that there's some stuff that we have technologically.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. And you kind of had mentioned in the last episode that, with the drone-ish flying Volkswagen that was in front of you.
Yeah.
In Illinois, right? Is that what you said?
It was actually here in Indiana.
Oh, I thought you had said you were in Illinois.
Well, we were coming home from Illinois.
Oh.
It was like 74 and 75 right there.
Oh, wow. Like close to here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's extra weird now.
And the weird thing, I didn't go into this, and the weird thing after that, there was a drone that was always over that area for like months afterwards.
But a small drone.
Yeah, it was a small drone. I could see it flying.
What do you think it was doing? Investigating?
Could be.
Wacky.
I'd see it when I was driving a school bus. I'd see it of a morning.
Really?
Yeah. I'd follow it looked like coming from the airport.
And it was like staying in the same area, just kind of hovering, floating over, checking things out.
Yeah, like that part of, I shouldn't have said the road, doggone it.
Whoops. I can get fun with editing and maybe figure something out. I always say that I'm going to edit stuff and then I never do.
I just realized
that.
I just realized that. I was like, oh, I just gave it away.
Oh, the secret's revealed. So now we're going to have now if we ever get popular, like really popular, we're going to have a bunch of weirdos out here hovering around.
This is where it was. It's right here. This is what he said.
Ben said the alien drone was, or the demon drone.
Yeah.
Where do you think the demon thing comes from? Like, do you think that because do you think it's just demons, or do you think the demons have technology?
I don't think it's necessary. I wouldn't say the way I think. This is just Ben. You don't have to believe me, that not necessarily like demons are flying the UFOs, but they are giving the knowledge of something to somebody to create these crafts, if that makes sense.
So, like, and obviously we established last episode that the vast majority of demons, would you say it's the vast majority of demons, or would you just say, what? I don't know. It's hard to say what percentage of demons are Nephilim.
Well, they said all, well, I shouldn't say all. Like the disembodied spirits.
Yeah, and it talks about in Jubilees too how they were really wreaking havoc.
Yeah,
after the flood.
Yeah,
and Noah actually asked God, like, "Hey, can you stop this.
And that's like, and that's why, like, I think, isn't that where we get like a third? Because
yes, he locked 2/3 of them away, like did away with them, and then he, this is another whole conversation we haven't gotten into yet, and I know we're already diving off of the alien train. We'll bring it back, we promise. But there's a cat in Jubilees mentioned named Mastema,
yeah,
who seems like he was the chief of the demons.
Yeah.
Like controlling the demons. And he was kind of whining of like, hey, if you get rid of all my demons, I can't lead man astray. So God's like, okay, I'll give you a third. And that way you can, which is that's a whole thing we could get into. That's really strange.
And something else that's strange. Solomon was able to control them.
The demons?
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
This is in one of the many books written on Solomon. He was able to put like kind of like a genie, put bracelets on them, and he would interrogate them to learn things.
What?
Yeah.
And this is obviously not biblical, but extra biblical.
Yes. And supposedly that he put rings on Orion, like the constellation.
Mm-hmm.
There's rings on Orion's wrists where he learned things from Orion.
So Orion was an entity at this particular point?
Yes. And so it's like crazy stuff.
Yeah, I wonder where this person came up with this stuff.
I can't remember the book.
Well, as far as the being able to control the demon stuff, makes sense because I wouldn't want to try to play with one and control it, but we have dominion over them.
Yeah.
I mean, we have control over a demon based on our standing.
Yeah. And with some alien stories, people have commanded it to leave in Jesus' name, and it did.
Yeah, so that would make me think, too, that that's probably a demon. I think there's definitely... I think I'm in the camp where I believe that there's probably some alien stuff going on, too. I think that there's... I don't know. I just... think that there has been enough that I have seen at this particular point where I think that there probably is someone from another planet visiting this planet. And I don't know that that's necessarily contrary to the Bible. Do you think that it is?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting.
It is, and it's... I've never found anything in there that really, because I always view, it was kind of a brain melt for me. When I finally came to the thinking that like, man, I really think that there is maybe something else out there. And, I think naturally with that, you tend to take that and you're like, man, what does that mean for my faith? And what does that mean biblically and this and that? And really what I came to is, well, the Bible really never gets into too much of anything of that because for the most part, the Bible is the story of us, right? And like it's God's story and it's the story of creation, but it's more around the spiritual war, the battle, how we fell and how we're going to be redeemed and how we're going to be in right communion back where we were originally with God in the end. So it's really a very focal point story of us.
Yeah.
Versus everything else potentially.
Yeah.
So if God created the heavens and the earth and you have all this stuff, who's to say that he didn't create life on another planet? Now that life could not be made maybe it's not made in his image. I don't know. That's another question too of like, what does in his image mean? To what extent does that mean? Like from a physical appearance perspective.
Well, it'd have to be bipedal.
Think so? Which aliens are most of the time when we see them or we get a descriptor of what they look like, right?
Yeah.
Typically look very similar to us for the most part as far as build.
And I go to every time there is an angel in the Bible that says, do not be afraid. Because if you actually went by a description of an angel, it's pretty freaky looking. So...
You mean like the wheel and all that with the
yeah,
all the eyes and stuff on it? And
Yeah.
Was that an angel or a cherub?
I don't.
I think it was a cherub.
Well, they were all in the
Angel family.
yes, the the creatures, if you will.
Yeah, it does talk about that. Like, do not be afraid.
I
I wonder if there's kind of some interesting stuff too back in like Jubilees about when in the back of it. No, not Jubilees. It's in Enoch when Noah was born.
Oh yeah,
Where they were freaking out because Lamech thought that she'd been sleeping with an angel.
yeah, because he was bright and he was
Yeah.
talking and everything.
He's almost described like almost like an albino.
Yeah,
Said his eyes like glowed. It's
Yeah.
kind of freaky the way he's described at birth.
and yeah, and he spoke. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I remember, like, Lamech, he's freaking out because he's like, "Oh my goodness, you slept with an angel. You made a Nephilim.
Yeah,
You, my son's a Nephilim." And I remember, like, he never says that, but that's what he's going for. And he goes and he runs to Methuselah,
Yeah.
who's his dad.
he's
And
like, no.
he's freaking out, and then Methuselah goes and talks to Enoch, and he's like, "Nah, he's not. He's special."
Yep, he was very,
Yeah, exactly.
very special.
Yeah.
I wondered before you said that, I was talking about the creatures. Wonder if the Sphinx is a representation of one of the creatures because it was a lion with the face of a man.
By creature, you mean like one of the
Creatures, and that's mentioned in the Bible of heaven.
kind of, oh, yeah, it could be. The other thing, too, is like there's so much genetic manipulation.
Yeah,
And they're fairly sure that like the head on the Sphinx ain't what the original
yeah,
was. Like I think pretty much modern archaeology is kind of coming around to the point where they can't really deny it much more.
yeah,
That the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids; they inherited the pyramids.
yeah.
And then the Sphinx, they just kind of carved its head up and made something new out of it.
Yeah, just like we didn't in anything in this country when we came over. A lot of things were already done, and they tried to erase the history.
Still are.
Yeah,
And you can't. It's they find stuff all the time. They can't explain, and they try to hush it.
and the amazing thing, people still find arrowheads in fields. I want to know how many people were here.
Right.
I got a guy on Facebook that lives around here. He's constantly posting pictures of the arrowheads he finds in the field. And I'm like, how many were here?
Apparently a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find cool stuff all the time, and there's just so much history out there. But yeah, it goes, the whole alien thing comes full circle back to the pyramids. You watch Ancient Aliens, which I just like to watch Ancient Aliens for the crazy stuff that you hear, but then also Giorgio that shows up with his great big hair and he's like, aliens.
Yeah. I had hair like that till I got rid of it, right? Had to get a haircut.
I saw that. You're looking dapper.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I was looking at your boys this morning in the front row, and I'm like, all them boys got curly hair, didn't they?
Yeah.
Kind of fun. The beauty of genetics.
That's right.
That's why they're freaking out so bad when Noah came out, because he didn't match no genetics they knew.
That's right.
I'd be freaking out too, man. I'd be like, you did not go sleep with an angel. I know you didn't. You did not just bring that in my house.
Oh, I know.
Can you imagine? He was freaking. You could definitely tell, like, he is freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Lamech is. That's probably what killed him. Freaked out so hard he had a stroke, had a heart attack, and died. Boom.
Yeah.
Gone. But yeah, the ancient aliens thing, and like aliens built the pyramids. Like, I don't think so. I think like Nephilim and giants built the pyramids.
Yeah. They would have had to.
It just makes sense. Especially when you start looking at all the timelines of everything. With the flood and everything, and this stuff was around before the flood, and
Yeah.
it just makes sense. It wasn't aliens.
But aliens are interesting. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to believe I really wanted to believe. But then I grew up.
I never did.
And I realized, wait a second.
Still a child at heart.
If they're really aliens, why haven't I seen one? This is my thinking.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
Then,
I've never seen one either.
And then I realized, maybe I'm not, I didn't live in a trailer park. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. But
Man, if you flip me a 20, I'll edit that out for you.
No. No, but I never really, I don't want to say I grew up, but it was just things.
You've already insulted me. It's okay. Keep going.
No, it's just an interesting thing to discuss. Really, it is. I have been so enamored. I love the thought of aliens.
Yeah.
But I would not want them. I wouldn't be holding a sign saying, "Take me."
No.
Because the question,
I'm not down with that.
Are they malevolent or benevolent?
That's where I think that we get, for me, that's where the mixture comes from. And the reason I say that is because I mean, would I like to see one? Yeah, of course I would. Just from a fascination standpoint. I mean, humans are that way. We're wired that way, right? I want to know for sure. I want to see with my own eyes. Never have. But that's for me where the mixture comes from. Because when you look at a lot of the stories, and here we've got a ton of them, right? I mean, like there's no doubt about that, right? There's something.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody at this point would deny that there's something. And if they are, they're in such a crazy camp alone by themselves that they're not even worth talking to. Whether it's, angels, demons, or aliens, something's going on. It seems to me anytime that there has been what I would think would be a true extraterrestrial event of some kind, they are never malicious. We are always the instigator. And a lot of times they don't even respond. Or they'll just bug out, like I'm gone. Like when you watch a lot of these, shows, and we've watched tons of them because we're fascinated by the subject. Anytime that there's been any kind of bad thing that's happened, I don't think that's an alien. I think something else is going on, which makes sense when you're talking about a demon.
Yeah.
But do you think the demons... So you think that like just the demons have given the technology over, but it's not necessarily the demons themselves? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. I mean, because when you think of the old technology that they had back in Enoch, before Enoch, the fall, or whenever back then, the technology we have don't even match that.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a lot of stuff wiped out in the flood.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But based on the way that everything, what we see.
Yeah.
Like we've talked frequency resonance before, which is maybe how they built the pyramids, being able to manipulate large rock, large heavy structures and cutting and things like this. They had to have something.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, we've moved beyond the hunter-gatherer malarkey that we've been told. There's no way. I mean, that's just ridiculous at this point. Ridiculous. So far gone.
Yeah.
But from the alien standpoint, I don't think the aliens built the pyramids. I think maybe they've been visiting for a while. There's a lot of things that could make you think that that's maybe happening.
What if just a quick theory?
Go.
I'm not saying yes or no. What if they're watchers? Some form of a watcher.
Are you talking, now that's an interesting statement, because are you talking like a negative watcher? You're not talking like you're not talking the Nephilim watchers. You're talking like an angel.
Yeah.
Like a positive angel, like a good angel.
Yeah.
A positive angel. There's positive and negatively charged angels.
Just that literally just popped in.
It could be. I mean, it's so hard to say, right? Like, do the angels have craft?
I mean, well, it said Elijah was taken into a chariot of fire.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff in Revelation. There's a lot of stuff in the Bible in the Old Testament where, you don't know.
Yeah, they're
the
using
technology was so. If it was really truly technology, they're trying to explain this technology, and they're going to use it in terms that they can relate to of the technology of the time, and it could be technology that is what we would see today. We have stuff now that if they saw, they wouldn't be able to explain what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it would melt their brain.
Like I always thought that in Revelation, where it describes what is it, the locust with the stinging tail.
Oh yeah, that they're going to release and they can't harm Christians.
I always thought that was an Apache helicopter.
Yeah, you can read it that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But I just thought about that. What if they're watchers? I'm not saying they are.
No, this is all speculative.
Yeah,
we're not going to be able to say definitively anything.
And you could still call them aliens because they're not of this place.
Oh, that's true. And just for clarity, for me, when I say alien, I think literally a created being created by God outside of our planet from another planet who knows how far away. So I am literally do mean when I say that I think alien, like alien. So like a traditional alien, like a gray.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, I think we discussed this with Aleister Crowley and where Area 51 is.
No.
Supposedly.
Barbara Bush was born there?
No.
If you don't know that reference, you got to go listen to the last episode.
That's right. Supposedly, Aleister Crowley went out to the desert out there and he opened a portal. And out came an alien-looking gray, and he said his name was Lamb. And he drew a picture of what it looked like, and I think it's in one of his books.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
He says that he went out and opened a portal. And all
that. And then he closed it. And I don't know if we've discussed this on a show before or not, but then his heir apparent, Jack Parsons, and L. Ron Hubbard went out there. And they opened the porthole, and they weren't able to close it.
So there's like an open portal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would... Sorry, I didn't bring this up last episode because...
Well, that's not... We were trying to stay on CIA, but we got into other stuff, so...
But yeah, and they did, like, I think we discussed this a little bit. Babylonian sex magic is how they opened it, and you said BSM earlier.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah.
Babylonian sex magic.
Yeah, and they did, and if you don't know who those guys are, you got to look, they were pretty evil dudes.
Yeah, definitely heavily into the occult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't dug into a ton of Aleister Crowley stuff, but I've dug in enough to know that he was not a good dude.
Yeah.
And I haven't really looked at Parsons at all.
And he called himself the Beast.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah. It's funny how, like, Jack Parsons, and how would they even hook up? It's... Talk about...
Devil's like, you got to meet a guy.
Yeah, like last episode, the circles people run in, pretty much.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, things you don't realize. Yeah, it's so whacked out. So Area 51 is obviously just a huge, crazy... That's such a crazy thing. So one of the stories for me that I am fascinated by, just fascinated. I find it absolutely fascinating. And before I get into this, I think that, for me, for the alien stuff, the actual, gray, extraterrestrial, whatever you want to say, there has to be some reality to it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever this entity is, it has to exist.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
Because there have been too many credible people that have seen this thing, and have had stories. They've said something, they've seen this thing. We're having pilots see things now. Yeah. Military pilots and all kinds of airline pilots, credible people. These are not wackadoodle people, yeah. Right? Nobody's going to put a wacko in a $70 million jet and let him go fly around and chase aliens. And watching the video that is out there now, which is interesting that's slowly being released now over time. It fits perfectly to a T with what we talked about last episode of how they deny and they lie and they deny and then they release a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they lie and they deny and they release a little bit more. And we feel like we're getting to the point now where I guess we would call it disclosure.
Yeah.
Right? But for me, the story that is I find so fascinating is Area 51, and it revolves around a guy named Bob Lazar. And I know you and I have talked about this, and I don't know if you ever really got to dig into it too much.
Just a little.
So anybody wants to watch it, and Joe Rogan, if you want to flip me a 20 for plugging your podcast, I won't turn you down. But he's doing okay. Bob Lazar, go watch that Rogan show. There's a documentary out there too called, it's kind of corny the way that it's what it's called. It's like UFOs, Area 51, and flying saucers or something like that. And it focuses on Bob Lazar. And the story goes like this. I want to say it was in the 90s, mid 90s maybe. This guy comes out in Vegas and he's on Silhouette at first. He's got his voice disguised. He's on Silhouette. And he says, I've been working out in an area called S1 in Las Vegas at Area 51. So you have Area 51 proper, like the, whatever the military establishment is. Because you have a Nellis Air Force Base out there, right? I mean, we know that's there. And then he says, I'm working at a top secret facility, or called S4. I think it's S4. S4 at Area 51. And we literally reverse engineer alien technology. And he goes on to talk about, so this comes out and everybody pretty quickly figures out who he is. And the whole reason he came out in the first place is kind of crazy because he was afraid that they were going to kill him because of some things that had happened. And so he was only working there for like, I don't know how many months. I don't even know if it was a year, but they had brought him in to reverse engineer this alien technology. And he has detailed stories about seeing these craft, touching these craft, watching the craft. He was given a demo on how the craft operated. And he was even given access to get into the thing at one point. Like he called it the sport model. Like we would think of the traditional like saucer on saucer with the little top, little bottom.
Yeah.
And he was able to get in this thing. And he said, his sole job was to work on the propulsion side. That's what they brought him in for. He was a propulsion expert, and they let him that's everything is very compartmentalized.
Yeah.
You don't talk to the other research teams. There's someone else working on, aerodynamics. There's another team working on alloys. There's another team working on whatever. And him and one other guy are working on propulsion, and they're not allowed to cross-pollinate with these other researchers. And he said that was one of the most frustrating things, is because that's not how research is typically done. When you're researching something like this, normally under normal circumstances in the world, you sit down together and, as you discover things, you sit down and you share with the other groups because it may help them figure out the technology or whatever they're working on. Right. Yeah. It's a much more creative or rich environment for actual discovery. And he said, which fits the government, how they would operate. Yeah. And he makes no bones about that. And I think the dude's telling the truth.
Yeah. I just remembered this. This will blow your mind.
Cool.
We were at Vegas for a bachelor party. And one of the guys in the party worked for the government, but he was from England. And I really liked the guy. I was like, oh man, are you on Facebook? No, I'm not allowed to have Facebook. Do you have a phone? I'm not allowed to have a cell phone. Where do you work? I can't tell you where I work. What do you work on? I work for, he said, I work for the government. I'm a contractor. Okay. He goes, but I can tell you that I work on something that it's universal. I work with people from the universe on things.
What?
Yeah.
And this is where you met this guy?
Vegas at a bachelor party. He was a friend of the groom, friend of my good friends.
Wow. And he's an English guy.
Yeah. Really cool dude.
But he's working here, clearly.
Yes.
Right.
This was back in 2014 when I met this guy. And it's
send your mind spinning.
And I'm like, I just remembered that.
Yeah. See? It's crazy.
And I wanted to push him.
Yeah, but he can't.
Yeah. The funny
if he's
thing
telling
is,
the truth, which why would he not?
Yeah, the funny thing is
he's not telling you anything other than he's being mysterious. But.
Yeah. He wanted to know more about my life, what I was doing, because he goes, I wish I could have a normal life.
Jeesh. And
so, sometimes is it really worth signing your life away?
Yeah. It's so funny when I, just because of what I've done in my life from my career, I've dealt with a lot of liars. Yeah. I've dealt in the world of deception and people being, deceitful. And I have talked to and interviewed a lot of really, really good liars. And I mean good. Yeah. If this dude is lying, talking about Lazar, he is the grand poobah champion of liars of all time. You do not get any of the normal cues and clues that you would get listening to him of someone that is being deceitful. And his story has remained consistent for literally coming up on 30 plus years now. And it's just absolutely incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
And, he never saw any bodies or anything. He thought at one point maybe he did, and he said some stuff he wished he hadn't said because he wasn't sure. He was walking by a door or something one time and looked in the door, and it was in a hangar area. And he thinks now in hindsight, it wasn't little bodies or anything. It was like dummies. They had made these little dummies because whatever entity is operating this craft is small.
Yeah.
Like childlike in size. Right. And so he never saw any bodies that he could really put his stamp on. But he did see 8 different kinds of these craft, and they were all different. I think he described a tic-tac shaped craft, and he's doing all this, explaining all this stuff before we even get anything of this new stuff that we know of now that they've released, right? And, he's talking about all this stuff, and he said that, the other thing too is they actively covered up and they tried to hide his history after he came out. They tried to expunge his history of working at Los Alamos.
Oh.
He had worked at Los Alamos. Okay. And he actually can't even talk about what he was working on at Los Alamos because whatever it was, the only thing Rogan said after the fact, because he came up in a couple episodes after that with other people that were kind of in the same vein, and he said, I can't say, I promised him I wouldn't say, because Rogan always takes his guests out to dinner the night before, right?
Yeah.
He said he was working on something. He was sent to MIT, and there's no record of this either, which makes sense based on what he says. He was working on something for Los Alamos and for the government that wasn't in agreement with the Geneva Convention. Let's just put it that way. It's kind of the way it was worded. So whatever he was doing was not, they're not going to have it on the books.
Yeah.
He's doing something that's a no-no.
Yeah.
And, it's just so fascinating because, he's talking about this thing and when he gets to go inside of it, he was kind of theorizing because that's all they can do, right? Is they're trying to reverse engineer this thing to figure out how it works. And he's like, there's no moving parts. It's completely wireless. And it's an element. I forget, 151 or 115 or element 115 or something like this. And at the time, the element hadn't even been discovered yet until here a few years ago, and they discovered it in Russia. It was the first time they were able to artificially produce it. And it was only there for a few seconds, and then it just fell apart because they can't get it stable. And they called it, eventually they called it Moscovium, is what it's called now. And supposedly he's maybe taken some of this stuff because he said, whatever this is, this element, whatever this thing is that's powering this craft, has anti-gravity properties when you run electricity through it. And that's how the ship operates. It creates an anti-gravity field around the craft, and that's how it's able to move like it is able to move. He said, think of it like this. If you put a bowling ball on the mattress of your bed and you just set it there, it'll just stay there because it's, heavy enough where it's not going to roll off unless if the bed's flat, right?
Yeah.
He said, but imagine taking your fist just in front of the bowling ball and pushing down on the mattress, the bowling ball will roll to your hand, right?
Yeah.
He said that's how this craft operates. It literally takes the gravity emitters on the bottom of the craft, and it will turn and rotate, and then it will create a gravity field that it's like pulling itself to this gravity field. That's how it operates. So that's why it can go underwater. It can travel at high speeds, because if you can control gravity, there's really no theoretical limit on what you can do.
Yeah.
And we have this video of this craft now that just came out a couple of years ago, right? And we see it rotate, and then that's when it takes off. And it's exactly the same dimensions and build and structure size, the whole thing of the same craft that he was working on, the quote unquote sport model. The Corvette. The Corvette. Now, the $1 million question is, where did this stuff come from? Is this truly alien technology from another planet that other civilizations have made? Or what would you say to that? You think that like an angel or they've gotten this thing from somewhere?
Could have. I mean,
I don't know. I'm not asking just because I'm curious.
It could have been the chariot. We'll say the fire chariot.
The fire chariot?
Yeah. I don't know. All this stuff fascinates me.
I know. It's crazy too. Like, and then you get into the abduction stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the Lazar thing's fascinating, by itself. And I have his book upstairs called Dreamland, which details everything. And it's just before we move on to other stuff, this is kind of fun. I have to share this. How the reason he came out, he kind of had his life all fall apart at the same time. And he was young, and he's like 20 years old, right? And he had literally put a jet engine in the back of his Honda. He's working at Los Alamos. They featured it in a little like Los Alamos Times, news article or whatever. And whoever was trying to wipe his past clean didn't exactly get that one swept up. So he can show this, right? He's like, look, I worked here. It even says it in the article that I worked here. Someone came forward with an old phone book from Los Alamos, and he's clearly in the phone book.
Yeah.
Like for the extension. And so he is literally somehow, while he's working out there, he gets this, a copy of the test flight schedule for these craft, because they literally are taking them up and trying to figure out how they work, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's flying this thing. And at this particular point, this is really before Area 51 became huge like we know it today.
Yeah.
So it was kind of before the huge boom of everything. And he's taking people out to go watch. First he starts with like a couple friends, like his best friend and a couple other buddies, and they're out there and they're kicking back and they're drinking beer and they're watching these craft, and they're VHS taping it. And these guys are just like, oh my, they thought he was crazy at first, right? Like, yeah, whatever, dude, you're full of it. And he's like, no, really, it's going to happen here. Just watch. And they go out there, and sure enough, 9:00 or whatever, when it's dark out, and they start watching these craft fly around, and these guys are like, dude, you're kidding me. This is crazy. So this becomes like a regular weekly event, and the event is growing. And they wind up taking like an RV out there, and they're like having a big party or whatever. And of course they get wind of it. The government does. And like somebody coughs, Like, because it's pitch black. It's in the middle of the desert, right? There's no lights. There's no light pollution. It's pitch black outside.
Yeah.
And then, like, somebody drops a flashlight or something, and it rolls over and, like, into this dude's foot. And then a bunch of lights come on or whatever, and it's literally dudes in, like, night vision masks. And they just scoop everybody up, claim it, take everybody. And they wind up interrogating him, and he tells them, like, the truth. And then they let him go. And he keeps going to work. And he's like,
Los Alamos, that's where they made the bomb.
Yeah.
And when Oppenheimer came out, we went and watched it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
And they tried, speaking of compartmentalizing, they tried to keep them separate, and they still ended up talking to each other about stuff.
Exactly.
Because how else are you going to learn how to do something?
Can't. That's the way the government operates.
I know.
They're stupid. They don't understand. They're not scientists.
No.
They only care about results.
And death.
And being in power and being in control. Because you got to think, like, he who is first to figure out this technology will rule the world, right? It's as old as time. And it's kind of funny. He shares a couple really cool stories, not to make this the Bob Lazar hour, but it's just so fascinating to me. He shares another story where they had Russians out there. They had Russians out there, and they were on another team working at some point. And one of these other teams made some kind of discovery of some kind. It was that he was never told what, but it was a big deal. And all the Russians were kicked out. It was like, so we need you to go home now. Now that we have this advantage, and they literally kick the Russians out.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's how it works, man. That's how it works. But they have stuff too. Like, we're not the only ones. Come on. The Chinese probably have stuff, and who knows who else has stuff.
Didn't India just go to the moon?
I think they just landed on the moon the other day, or went to the moon. They not land on the moon. Did they go to the moon?
Yeah, they had a craft. The weird thing is everybody's excited about that, thinking it's great. If
it happened.
If we went to the moon, why are we so excited India just went?
I don't know. It's all weird. And then the Russians just crashed something on the moon the other day. Did you see that? It doesn't, supposedly, allegedly. They were going to the dark side of the moon, and they crashed. Whatever this thing was, crashed into the moon when it was trying to land, I think.
You know what they're going to find on the dark side of the moon, right? Transformers.
Oh, yeah. It's a low-budget operation at this point.
That's right.
Someday we'll get a proper soundboard.
That's right. Yeah, the Transformers are on the dark side.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Optimus Prime's hanging out back there.
Yep, that's right.
Autobots, roll out.
I don't know. I'm having fun. I mean, it's because
well, there's a whole lot of stuff about that too. We could get into that. It's a whole nother show, right? Like, of all the Apollo and the other thing too is, like, I think I've listened to this when Aldrin and Armstrong and Collins were up there, and I think it was Aldrin and Armstrong. The recording from the medical channel, where they snapped over to the medical channel and they were talking about seeing all kinds of stuff. And have you heard that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And secret bases on the moon and stuff.
My whole thing is okay. Apollo is a Greek god.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 12 astronauts that went to the moon. So that would be Apollo and his 12 disciples. Throw another false god in there.
Mm.
And Gemini, that's another god.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we name all these projects after old gods?
Oh, why? Because we're consumed with power and usurping God.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if it's completely benign that we're doing this, someone in there is likening themselves or what they're doing to God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
why else would you do that?
And
I guess it is catchier than, Scooby 7.
Or what are SpaceX? What are those called? What are their rockets called?
Falcon, Dragon.
Yeah. Those are cool names.
Yeah. Why couldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Falcons and Dragons are cool.
Yeah.
Falcon, Dragon. Is that it so far? I forget which one's which.
I don't pay attention. I just, oh, that's neat. That's cool. You know,
it is pretty cool. Watch it. Do you think that, like, when you watch the video of them land watching these things come back and land on the pad?
I've never seen one actually do it. Because usually the ones I see, they always cut or something happens.
Oh, like right at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kind of interference supposedly or something like that. Whatever. I forget what their excuse was.
I have never seen one land. You know, I'm just saying, like the reverse landing. Maybe they haven't quite figured out how to redo the videotape of it taking off and.
You're never going to be invited in that world because you use the term videotape. You're out.
That's because I'm old.
Because you're old.
Yes. I even say, can you guys videotape this?
Oh, wow. Hand me a soda. Videotape.
Yeah.
Hand me the cassette tape.
I remember I used to say, I want to make a playlist. And they're like, Dad, you don't make playlists anymore.
You do. I can go on Spotify.
Wait, no, not
right
a playlist.
now.
I'm sorry. A mixed tape.
Say, you don't let those kids pick on you.
A mixed tape or mixed CD.
You don't do those anymore. Unless you call your playlist mixed tape.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
can do that.
Yeah.
Mirror the two worlds together.
Yeah.
My first car had an 8-track player.
Oh, mine did too.
Did you?
Yeah.
High five. There you go.
I had a 74 Malibu.
I had a 77 Chevy Impala.
Oh,
It was
hey.
a tank.
Yeah.
I did some stupid things in that
I
tank.
did too.
Yeah, dumb.
Yeah.
But had an 8-track player. And the 8-track player had the plug-ins where you could plug in a cassette. It would do a cassette player. So I remember at one point, because the CDs came out, right? So I had the 8-track player with the cassette plug-in for it. And then I had the cassette that had the wire running out of it that you could plug into the CD player. So I've got CD going to cassette going to 8-track. NASA, I'm here. You need engineers. I'm your guy.
And mine just
I won't steal any of your secrets, I promise.
And mine just had swivel bucket seats.
Fingers crossed.
And the driver's seat was broke, so when I would take off or hit the brakes, I'd turn a little bit.
Wow, you had bucket seats in that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had bench seating. It was lame.
Yeah, it was a nice car.
Well, then again, it depends on what you're doing in the bench seat. We'll keep back to aliens we go. That was back before I was a good boy. But yeah, that's a fascinating. The Lazar thing fascinates me. That's a fascinating. It's just crazy story. But clearly, these things are real.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking of like the crafts, these, and I couldn't help but think of the SR-71.
Oh yeah, also my favorite planes of all time.
And how it was supposed to be a secret plane, and they were, the guys from Skunk Work that worked on it, and that was, you could call that a UFO.
Clearly, they had some kind of technology, which is funny. The funniest thing about that plane, when it was on the ground, it leaked like a sieve.
Yeah,
it didn't not leak until it got in the air and it started to develop heat, and then it would expand.
Yeah, the top speed was its melting point.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? The things like glowing red.
Yeah,
It just that was its defense. It literally, you outran the missile.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I would love to go that fast.
I know. You probably don't even realize you're going that fast. Like, there's nothing up there there's nothing to tell how fast you're going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're on the ground and you're in a car and you're zipping past telephone poles, well, you got a lot of reference on the ground to tell you're going really fast.
Yeah.
But when you're however many, 50, 70,000 feet in the air and you're going Mach 5, whatever the thing would do.
And the same with the stealth planes, the bomber and that one,
Especially the B-2. When we got to the B-2, that thing straight up looks like a UFO.
I know. But have you ever seen the picture of a Falcon and the B-2? They are the same design.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're also talking about, it's probably not going to be long before we see the next gen of fighter. Because the F-22 is like, it's it's for all intents and purposes now, it's pretty much obsolete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still probably the best fighter in the world.
I'm not in love with it.
The one that's kind of crazy of like what it'll do is the Su-57. That's the one the Russians have.
Oh yeah,
the Felon or whatever they call
Yeah.
it. We call it the Felon. They don't call it that. They call it. But
Yeah.
whatever, we call it the Felon.
yeah.
That was my in Russian. Did you like it? Yeah. I'm not getting any calls from the CIA anytime soon for interpretation. That's for sure. So yeah, it's cool though because they've already kind of leaked maybe what the next one's going to look like, and it's like completely like tailless. Which I think the B-2 is.
Yeah,
I think the B-2's tailless. But yeah, the next fighter is going to be completely tailless. It's just going to be like a delta wing kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
I saw a couple of years ago, we saw the Raptor at an air show.
That's amazing. I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
The reason why I say it's not the classic styling of like a F-15 or F-16 or an A-10.
F-15's a good looking jet.
But it literally flew backwards.
You know, one of the things that you notice, because we went to go see the Blue Angels 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was the first year that they were flying around in the new Super Hornets. And you literally, I don't know how you would crash the thing. I mean, you can crash anything, but it's literally, you can't stall it.
Yeah.
There's so much just raw power. The engines are just so powerful.
Yeah.
You can't stall the thing. You're never going to just fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's got so much just raw power that it's crazy what you can do with them. But I remember like they can fly the F-22 at like 60 miles an hour. That's how slow it can go on a crawl. Because it did the vectoring in the back.
Yeah.
Now, where did we get all that stuff? We had to have something. Now, the Germans were working on stuff in World War II. And they got one thing that looked just like a saucer, like a UFO, right? I'm like, I just watched a documentary about it the other night. And we stole all that stuff when we stole von Braun. I mean, he was the crown jewel of all that.
Yeah.
So we probably got some of it from them. But, you know, we've got craft.
Yeah, we do.
Like Roswell? Do you think Roswell was an actual crash of some kind or something?
Something happened there.
It seems like it's
something. I will say something.
Well, it wasn't a weather balloon.
Something. I will say something heavenly happened there.
Oh, heavenly.
Just not. I don't want to, because things changed after that.
You know where they supposedly took that stuff, and it's still highly top secret today. Even
didn't go to Wright Pat.
Yeah, went to Wright Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really have much out there at the time. That was before really anything big was on the west coast out there near the west. So they hauled all that stuff back to Wright Pat.
Yeah. There
was somebody that was... there have been a couple of them that were pretty famous as far as crashes. That's the big one.
Yeah.
But there were a couple like a few years after that were not as big news-wise, but they were still pretty fascinating. One of them was somewhere near Nevada, and they loaded this thing up on the back of a truck, and they were hauling it by the Hoover Dam, I think, or something. I forget how this story goes. But they lost control of the thing, and it actually smashed into the dam.
Oh, man.
This disc, like, crashed into the Hoover Dam. Like, it, they had already had it on the back of a truck or something, and it, like, they lost control of it, and it swung and hit the dam.
It was trying to free Megatron. Sorry, I keep coming back to Transformers.
You and the Transformers, what are we going to do?
Well,
Project Bumblebee. That's what we're going to call this one.
It's all, whether you, things like this, it goes back to the last sort of touches on the episode we talked, our last episode, Hollywood and things.
Mm-hmm.
They're wanting to normalize things so when something happens, it's everyday occurrence.
So that brings us full circle to Project Bluebeam.
Uh-oh.
Now, I know you haven't dug into Project Bluebeam too much.
No.
I haven't dug into Project Bluebeam a lot. My wife dug into it a little bit, but the whole premise of it is this. We don't really have to because it ties both episodes together. The whole premise is this. The reason that they're doing this quote-unquote disclosure now of all these different events, okay, is to set the stage for what the theory is. They're going to use alien invasion to try to get us all unified behind one like government and entity.
I kind of touched on that last episode just a little bit.
What did you say? I don't remember.
Like trying to create these transhumans so we know.
Oh, yeah. But they're going to do it. It's all false flag stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be real, obviously, alien invasion.
Yeah, because think about it. Jesus said, don't be deceived because there'll be signs and wonders in the sky.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, we have to be on our guard 24/7.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense, too, because like the technology is so frightening. Like what they can do with AI and man. CGI and, that's just the stuff we know about.
Yeah.
Let alone the stuff we don't know about.
You figure technology, I always believed that the technology that we can get has already been out for a long time.
Oh, no, completely. We know that for a fact.
Probably AI has been around. I know AI has been around for a long time.
And it's always the government that has it.
Yeah. That's the scary one. AI.
It is. Yeah, I think so. And they're releasing it for something.
Yeah.
Because it's what do they have? If this is what we have and we see, what do they have?
Oh, yeah.
Like a good example of this, and you can go trace this through time because it's very consistent. We saw the F-117, the stealth fighter, the first stealth fighter, right? We saw that in the Gulf War in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you know when the first working prototype of that was?
I think so.
60s or 70s.
Yeah, it was a long time before then.
Yeah. It was like we had it long enough and it sat around long enough that we needed to get in a war with somebody to we want to see what this thing can do.
Yeah, I think that's what war is.
A little testing ground for all of our crap.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. We're that evil, yeah. And we do. We run false flag stuff to get it going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, have you looked into much with Hawaii?
The fire?
Yeah.
No, I know we talked about it, but I haven't really dug into it much. I've been focused on other stuff.
Yeah. So my uncle was telling me about this. He goes, you need to look into it because supposedly they used an MED, like a big laser.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the laser theory. Adrian showed me some of that.
Yeah.
Like supposedly it doesn't burn blue.
Yeah.
Won't burn blue stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't looked into it too much, but he told me to look into it.
Yeah, it was kind of wacky because the thing that we came out of it was just from a common sense perspective. If you have a huge inferno, the fire don't care about what color it is that's going to burn it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. There's so many crazy theories out there. That's the other thing too is like, I think that a lot of these crazy things get started from them. I think that they start these things.
Yeah.
Just to get us all like spun up and going in different directions. And again, it's like that magic show we talked about where it's like, when the right hand's doing this, what's the left hand really doing?
Yeah. It made me think of a comedian, and they pointed to and the milk or ice cream was going out. He goes, look what I put on the label. A half a cup. Are they really going out that way? Yep. Half a cup of ice cream is all you get.
A cup.
That's like,
You're going to do like the potato chip factory and make the bag super huge.
Yeah.
And then just fill it a quarter of the way full.
Yeah.
The rest is air.
Yeah. Things happen and it's crazy stuff.
It is totally crazy. But we do have all these things through time where it's like, something happened.
Yeah.
And the government always seems to, like you have these people that they'll interview. And they're credible people. Like you can talk to these people and they're like, they're not, I don't know why they would make this stuff up. There's not really anything to gain from it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, I guess, but But you're talking to like John the farmer, and like he saw this stuff, and there, a lot of times it's like the Phoenix Lights.
Oh yeah.
You know, you got hundreds of or thousands of people, including the mayor, has seen this, or the governor, and
Stevensville, Texas.
that was another big one, right?
It was a mile-wide ship over that. I mean,
what is it? Where did it come from?
I don't know.
See, now I have heard supposedly we can't duplicate the technology, but what we've gotten to is we can at least get far enough where it's like a poor man's version of anti-gravity. And there's this thing called the Black Mamba or whatever. I forget the actual working like number for it, but it's a triangle shaped, pizza shaped craft. And it can create anti-gravity artificially, like to a very limited degree where it burns plasma around the outside of it or something like that. It uses nuclear technology to burn plasma, and it can do anti-gravity stuff. There's video of it out there.
That's interesting.
And it's not, I don't think that's alien or whatever we would call it. I think that's us.
Yeah.
We have it.
And a couple weeks ago, what was going on in one of the South American countries where they said aliens were coming into these.
Yeah, they're finding all these weird creatures everywhere.
Yeah,
or whatever. There's a video of one of them. Have you seen the video?
Yeah. And then there was one where supposedly it was like a gang of people or something that were like, it was miners trying to get to town. And they had all these jetpacks is what made it.
Miners?
Yeah.
Like coal miners?
Yeah, like coal miners.
Yeah, you're talking underage kids.
Yeah. Not Epstein, sorry.
Not Epstein's. Oh, that's another episode.
But like coal miners or whatever kind of miners. And they had these jetpacks and they were flying. I'm like, where are miners going to get jetpacks?
You mean not all miners have jetpacks?
No, I don't have. Where's my jetpack?
I want a jetpack. I'll be a miner for a jet. I just want the jetpack.
Yeah. It
Oh
cut down
my
on
goodness!
time
Where
travel.
do you come up with this? Like, where do people come up with this stuff?
I don't. And it's like all governments just try to explain something. Will give a real stupid explanation, like jetpacks. Who can afford a jetpack? Where can you get a jetpack? Now, is this alien technology?
No.
You know, you just created more questions than what you answered.
There was a press conference not that long ago, with some high-ranking guy in the Air Force, and he's at the podium, and they're talking about Roswell, and I forget how it all went down, but there had been some stuff that he had said in there that contradicted the narrative of like the whole weather balloon timeline thing. And he had made a reference to something that was in the wrong time. Like it wasn't Roswell. And one of the people in the press and the audience like caught him on it. And he said something, and he came back and he said, yeah, we believe that all of the people in Roswell had suffered from time dysphoria or something like that. And it was like the stupidest, craziest thing ever to like explain away like all these people seeing this thing. I'm probably butchering the whole real events as they went down, but it was just another instance where it was like the cover story was so ridiculous that they literally don't even come up with good stuff anymore. They because we don't challenge anything.
Yeah.
We're sheeple.
Yep.
You know, we just like, oh, okay. Well, as long as I get my car and I can pay my mortgage and I got food in my belly.
Yeah, we are living what they want us to live. We're living the quote unquote American dream.
Yeah. And we're in a constant dream state.
Yeah. We need to wake up.
Yeah, I think you said that the first episode. Big time was my response.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're absolutely right. It's funny that the book upstairs is called Dreamland.
Yeah. I know.
That's what they call it. They call it Dreamland out there. I guess that's what it's known by. You know, you can go to McCarran Airport in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they have the Janus flights that fly out there.
Yeah. When we flew into there was planes leaving and everybody knew where they were going.
Yeah, they're going to Area 51.
I know. And
They're
it's
going
just
to, they're
like
going to Nellis.
just not that far. Maybe 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, I think it's like a 45-minute flight. Yeah, and they literally fly in for the day and fly out.
Yeah,
It's like commuting to work.
yeah.
He said sometimes people would stay for a while. Like you would kind of go in like blocks of time.
Yeah.
You know, like you would go and you kind of stay there and you'd work quite a bit and then you go home for a while and then you would come like, you know, for a week or so or whatever, not work.
Well, it's a government job. You know it's paying good.
Yeah. He said it was the most thrilling but terrifying thing that he'd ever done. Not terrifying from the standpoint of like worried that he was going to get killed. I mean, that came later when everything started going sideways, but or from people killing him, I should say.
Yeah.
But the scare, he was, you know, he's messing with this stuff and they have no idea how it works. He gave a good analogy. He's like, imagine going back to like Victorian era times and taking a portable nuclear reactor in there and just setting it in the room and letting them play with it. He's like, you know, they're going to get 5 seconds in and take off all the shielding, trying to figure out how this thing works, and then they're all going to die. Because, you know, they're going to get irradiated to death, but to trying to figure out how the thing works.
Well, didn't that happen with most of the people that worked on the bomb?
Did they wind up dying? Well, a lot of them probably died of cancer.
Yeah, because of the radiation.
Yeah, well, one of the guys, did it get into this in the movie where one of the guys got really irradiated bad because something went bad in the lab while they were working?
No, they didn't. It didn't get into that.
They didn't get into that.
No.
Interesting. I forget the guy's name. Supposedly that happened too. And I mean, he got like a monstrous dose of radiation. He died within a couple days, and it was brutal how you die from that.
Yeah, I think they kind of kept it
Oppenheimer focused.
Yeah, it did.
Less bomb, more Oppenheimer.
Yeah, and it was kind of it was good, but it was still kind of a romantic, like looking back at it, if that makes sense.
Oh,
kind of like
romantically nostalgic.
Yeah, yeah, but it was a typical, like all what America does, to build somebody up and tear them down. We're so good at that.
Yeah, I had somebody else tell me the same thing. Yeah, well, and you know. Didn't they wind up like trying to accuse him of communism and stuff?
Yeah,
because his girlfriend was a little bit of wackadoodle that he was cheating on, right? Cheating on his wife with.
Yeah,
yeah. She was like a sympathizer, I think.
Yeah,
yeah. I read some review of like she was reading the Hindus. I think were really mad because she was reading something to him.
Oh yeah,
while they were at play.
Yeah.
And that made the Indians like super mad. So they went to the moon to spite us.
That's right.
Just like that. Boom, bam. Off to the moon we go. Did they land on the moon or did they just like cruise by like, hey, look, there's
I think it was a craft
base.
that went to the moon.
They didn't have astronauts?
No, it was an unmanned craft.
Was that impressive? That's not impressive. Which is sad to say, right?
I don't know.
I just thought of Shania Twain right there. That don't impress me.
My thing is, if we did go, it seems like America would have capitalized on going to the moon like crazy.
I think we went to the moon, but I could get behind maybe we didn't. I could even go so far as to say that I think we went to the moon, but I also think that we filmed some stuff just in case we didn't go to the moon.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? As a backup.
Yeah.
Because the reason I can get on board with that is, and I'm willing to listen to any arguments, maybe we'll have a show about that. Because there was a horse, there was a lot to lose there. We had a massive horse in the race there. Because we were getting getting destroyed.
Why we went to the moon, Russia went to Antarctica.
Did they go to Antarctica at the same time we went to the moon?
Yeah.
Interesting. What do they do down there? What do they find? Alien craft that they took back and they're reverse engineering right now. And they're like, yeah, go ahead, Americans. Oh, that was more German, but anyway.
Yeah. At the same time.
We do not need to share American technology. We have our own from Antarctica.
That's right.
There we go. We will soon find out how to dissect a moose and squirrel with laser.
Hey, Rocky.
Hey, Rocky. Hey, boo boo. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that's interesting in itself. I mean, why? And then there's a massive treaty that we signed that nobody can go there.
Yeah, where you can't fly over it. I've been told too.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you would fly over the South Pole. It's not it's the furthest way to go to get anywhere, right?
To see penguins.
Yeah.
Are penguins there? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Arctic penguins.
Yeah.
That is I have some weird bucket list places. I want to go to the South Pole.
Well, you better get your paperwork in order.
You can go. It is a thing. I'm not going to go until I'm rich, but and I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon. Hey, if the Lord's willing, but hey,
whatever. My whole thing is we know more about space than we do the ocean.
Well, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
What's living in the ocean? What's under the ocean?
Well, I know a few more people that are living in the ocean right now.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hopes and dreams were crushed. Oh, that's so bad. That's actually tragically sad. I shouldn't make light of it.
Yeah.
That guy sounded like a total jerk. I mean, everything that's come out about that whole thing, and I mean, he just sounded like a total jerk.
Yeah. That's been my whole thing is, how come we know more about space than we do the ocean? And I know they say, well, the pressure and everything like that.
Yeah, but if we can figure out how to go to space, man, come on. We can figure that out.
I want to see if there really is a megalodon living.
You think there is?
Why couldn't there be?
Why not?
Yeah.
I'm in the why not camp.
Wow, we went from aliens, demons, space to megalodon.
It is like a paint by numbers around this joint. You want to talk about choose your own adventure? It's like choose your own adventure on crack. It's like, oh my goodness.
I mean, if you really truly believe God created everything.
That's why I think I'm in the alien camp.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think it's all aliens, but I do think that I think there is a potential for extraterrestrial life. I do. I don't think that violates anything in the Bible. And what's to say that God didn't create something else and they have their own story and maybe they didn't fall like we did?
I don't know.
If it seems to be true based on what I said, where we have circumstances where they are involved and they are not, they have no maliciousness to them.
Well, I go back to what the Pope said. He said, if there are aliens,
I don't know her. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Said if there are aliens, we will baptize them if they need it or not.
Oh,
and so when,
of course, the Pope said that.
When the Pope says something like that, I don't listen. Sorry if there's Catholics listening.
I don't listen to what the Pope has to say at all. So
I'm sorry.
I turn to God for absolution from my sins.
That's right.
Not man.
That's right. But that's where I am at. Like, and when the UN appoints somebody to be the representative to an alien.
Have they done that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When did that happen?
A few years ago. They've got to be on top of everything.
Of course they do.
They've got to, they got to, if they come, they come. You're not going to stop them.
Yeah, and if they wanted to, I mean, like, that's the thing. Just apply a little bit of common sense to this, right? Like, if they really were interested in taking, if let's say they're real, right? You have this entity that has this technology. If they wanted to take whatever they wanted to take, I would think that they could probably
they'd have done it.
They could have get it done. They would have had plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing that I find really interesting, I think this goes back further in history than what we know of, but I think there was a huge spike after the creation of the atomic bomb.
Oh yeah. That's
because it seems like, oh no, you morons could really screw things up now. Like you could kill yourselves. We could have. Like, I mean, we talk about it every day, mutually assured destruction, right? Everybody starts hitting the button. And boom, 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 and we're going to be living Fallout for real.
Yeah. Have you looked into, I can't remember what year it was. It was like in the 1500s, like maybe 1558, 1559. Nuremberg had like this War of the Worlds. Nuremberg, Germany had this War of the Worlds type thing.
I think I have heard of this before.
It was like a 3-day war, and there was like people wouldn't go outside their house because there was like bombs and stuff just exploding in the sky.
What?
Yeah, it was.
I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked into it.
And somebody did a painting of it. It looked really freaky.
Van Gogh. The Scream.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so when it could have been a heavenly battle.
Could have been.
I mean, whether it's whatever side you fall on.
Yeah.
And I think of when I think it is judges when they get ready to go out to war with Gideon. And they said when you hear the tops of the trees rustle, attack or something like that, blow your horns and break your lamps. So what was going up above the sky?
Mm-hmm. It was them flying saucers.
That's right.
Them UFOs.
And it said and it said it was, I think, a heavenly battle as well.
Did we have? Well, yeah, we would have probably still had giants at that point, or no?
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah, we could have. So maybe they had some giants. Tops of the trees.
But whether aliens, demons, somebody from another planet, they have some kind of technology.
They got something
that we don't have and we want.
Yeah.
Why do we, like you said, money, power.
Mm-hmm.
We want to rule the world.
He who has the best toys. And if we're getting ready to let take the cover off the curtain or the curtain back or whatever you want to use to release this, hey, check out our new 7th gen tailless fighter.
Yeah.
That there's something already way been in the works.
Oh yeah.
They're already working on.
They're working on something that's going to be out in 30 years.
I think they've definitely got stuff that they haven't been able to figure out for sure. Which goes back to the Lazar story. I believe Bob.
What guy was talking about? It was like a foil, and you could like crush it, and it would go back.
That was the. I think he was a captain at Roswell, because he took they like loaded it in the car, and it was like whatever time in the morning, and he stopped by his house and went in and woke his kid up. And he's like, hey, little Timmy, you're not going to believe this. And he showed him the stuff. And that was one of the things that he was talking about, I think. You could crumple it and it would just bloop, go right back and no wrinkles or anything. And they took it to like a general. And the general was like, hey, we need to leave the room for a minute. Because they were going to have like a whole press release. Or they had already had their press release, I think. Yeah, because the story came out first. They were like, hey, flying saucer, and we got the stuff, da-da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
Because this captain was behind that, because they've never had anything like this happen before. Why would I deny it? That's not, they don't know the standard, line that they know now.
Yeah.
And then like a day or two later, he is ordered to take all this stuff to this general at one of the local bases. And he takes it in, and he's got it in the room, and the general's like, hey, we need to leave for a minute. And they, leave. In a few minutes, they come back, and the stuff is all gone and been replaced with the weather balloon crap. That is now the famous photo shoot of them holding this weather balloon. And he was basically told, you're gonna pose like this is what happened, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. And
so that's, what he did. He towed the party line. Towed the company line.
You should never do that.
No. They clearly had something.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like, what and how much of it do we have and how long have we had it? And if we got 8 of these things just tucked away here, and then the other thing, he's like, they'll ask Bob, like, where did we get them? And he's like, I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
He's like, but I've got this strong sense that we've had them a long time. A long time.
Yeah. Could it be before?
Oh, a long time. Don't know how long that is. But they've been trying to reverse engineer this stuff for a long time. He said that he actually thinks that he was called in to replace the last guy because he died. He died in an accident there. He said he didn't get the whole details of the story, but this other dude that he was working with, the guy's name was Barry. And Barry had told him that the guy died, and he said just piecing together all the little fragments because we really weren't supposed to talk about it. And they're being watched all day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they wouldn't be. But he said that he was fairly sure that at some point they tried to cut into the core of this thing with some kind of blowtorch or plasma torch or something. And it exploded.
Oh, dang.
It killed this guy. And he's like, it just fits the government to a T. It's like, we want results. Go cut it. Cut into it.
Yeah.
And the guy probably was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And they're like, yeah, well, you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
and boom.
Yeah, that's like
cuts into it like it's plasma torch or whatever. Blows up.
I know this is a little, but speaking of crazy things, this kind of ties in a little bit. Knew a guy, he was in Vietnam and he was a ranger. He would go out on his missions and whatnot. And he found a cave that a bunch of Red Cross that we sent to our enemy to help them.
Yeah, that fits too. We sent it to the North Vietnamese.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And so he said he blew that up.
Yeah.
He's like, what are we doing here?
Well, they're pretty sure. I've heard a lot of stuff now too that they think like the Gulf of Tonkin and all that was all false flag stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I heard a 3-letter agency attached to that.
Yeah.
That shan't be named again. The CIA.
Sorry, I just had a thought of that when you said our government, because, I can understand trying to help somebody, but when you're sending aid to our enemy.
Have you watched the documentary on Vietnam about on Netflix about that? Vietnam? The Ken Burns one?
No.
I'm a huge documentary guy. If everybody ain't put that together yet, I love documentaries.
They are good.
That the Ken Burns documentary on Vietnam that was done specifically for Netflix is excellent. It will absolutely make you unbelievably angry, but it is excellent.
Oh yeah.
The things that we did to these poor guys, and they
Agent Orange especially.
Man. Yeah. I mean, we just chemicaled the living crap out of these guys in the forest.
Yeah.
Because that was what it was for. They were taking that stuff and they were dumping it over the Ho Chi Minh Trail to try to, clear out everything so that they couldn't get guerrillaed.
Yeah.
And it was designed to be a defoliant, to just wipe out all the vegetation.
Yeah.
It's like taking massive amounts of ground clear and just dumping it everywhere.
Yeah. The same guy that I was just telling about, he was on the trail and they were he said a convoy stopped and a guy got out and peed on his boot. Didn't even see him standing there.
Oh my gosh. My goodness.
He never did tell about bad stuff. He tried to always focus on the good stuff that happened over there. And he said it because if I focused on the bad, I would be in a terrible place.
I can't even imagine. We would. It was maddening, man. We would send these guys to go take a hill because everything was hill 542, hill 376,
Hamburger Hill.
Yeah, and the reason it was we'd have that is because the Vietnamese were there. They had the high ground. They knew we were coming. And they would just shred our guys.
Yeah.
And then we would take the hill, have massive casualties, and get these guys all torn up and then just leave.
Yep.
Just leave.
Yep.
They said the one guy, the interview, they said they took this hill and they just got shredded beyond belief. And they got to the top of the hill and they flew in like Thanksgiving dinner and they ate Thanksgiving dinner and then they left. And the Vietnamese would just come take the hill back.
I know, it made no sense.
No, it was completely pointless because our idiotic powers that be in the government, especially McNamara, who was the Secretary of Defense at the time, he was some bean counter from like GM or somebody. I forget who. I think it was GM. And he was literally just basing success on body count.
Yeah.
So then they just started fabricating the reports from the field
to
try to make it look better. But the Vietnamese, I'm like, if somebody comes to America and tries to kill us all, we're not going to worry about body count. You're not going to body count us out of a fight. We're going to fight to the last person because
I know
we don't want to lose our country.
And realistically, I'm saying realistically, I don't think somebody in Russia or someplace wants us dead. Nope. I can't imagine somebody that we want them dead. I mean, that is like the dumbest thing.
They would probably laugh at our Rocky and Squirrel impersonations.
I know, they would. It's like,
yeah.
And I don't want anybody over there dead.
No.
You know,
we're just all pawns in this.
I know. And we get, like you said, you're stuck in the middle. We're the first ones to go.
First ones to go. Whether it's war or whatever. The fact of the matter is like they would kill any one of us right now for a Snicker bar.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah.
We're completely disposable.
Yeah.
Completely disposable. And it's so well proven of the things that they have done to experiment on us.
Yeah.
You know, and our guys in the military specifically, but I can only imagine the things that we've done with alien technology or whatever technology you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
Nephilim technology, advanced technology. Maybe we just say advanced technology.
Or let's say we did get one. What did we do to it?
Oh, like a entity of some kind?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of talks about that too.
I mean, what do you think Bigfoot had been caught? He doesn't want to get dissected.
They would pull him apart like a lab bunny.
Yeah, they would.
Would you shoot Bigfoot if you saw him?
Can I tell a story?
Yeah.
Okay. Story time.
Are we setting up episode 6? I feel like we're setting up episode 6 and I like it. Go ahead, Ben.
Story time with Ben.
Story time with Ben. We wouldn't neglect you, y'all.
This is like this is seriously.
Got to kick it in there at some point.
This is local. This has happened locally.
Well, you've already had a UFO encounter locally, so why not have Bigfoot?
We were with some friends out in the middle of a small rural area. Where
75 and 74.
75? No, it wasn't there. And it was late, but I mean, it was okay. We had a bonfire going and we're just all talking. There's about 5 or 6 of us and we hear about a mile away some donkeys going crazy. And then they just stopped. I mean, it just dead quiet. Then we hear like this, some kind of blood curdling yell. I mean, it was powerful and loud. Guy in our group imitated it. It comes quicker and it's moving very fast towards us. They start calling to each other, the dude and whatever this is. And it gets within, still can't see. We can only, because the fire and it's all dark around us. And for a split second, we all look at each other and say, did anybody bring a gun?
Yeah.
And we're like, we didn't think about it.
Yeah, right.
We weren't shooting that day, so.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm thinking, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And gets closer. And nobody has their phone. This is how old we are. We don't have our phones out because we're living in the moment.
Where we should all be more often.
And we're just living in the moment. And I'm thinking, what is this? And somebody goes, what if it's a mountain lion? But it was moving too fast for that. So, in my wise mind, I started singing, I Want You to Want Me.
Of course you would. Why not? I know that if I ever think that a mountain lion or Bigfoot's after me, I'm going to snap into some, I want you to want me.
Because I said, what if it's the mating call? And it's,
Oh, my goodness. You're going to get a Weemawaid in a bush somewhere.
and
My Bigfoot, he's going to have his way with you.
and as soon as I said that, it turned and started going the other way. Like it made a conscious decision to turn and go the other way. And it continued to call back. And it went probably 3 miles within just a couple of seconds. That's how fast this thing was moving. And we knew, because we knew the area and where things were, and we knew the donkeys were a mile, and there was like something else, and we just kept, and we were just like, and I'm going to give a huge shout out, like the intro to Blurry Creatures, where they have the guy, yeah, and they said that was recorded from the Sierra Nevadas, identical to that.
Really?
Yes.
Eesh.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is, don't call for Bigfoot if you ain't got a gun.
Yeah, and if I had, I don't know what I'd have done.
Did you shoot Bigfoot? Yeah, that's it.
I don't know if I. Why would I? If I felt like I was in danger, yes, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And a lot of weird things happen out in that little area too.
How far away from here are we? Because this is pretty rural.
It's. Do you know where the drive-in is?
Which? Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's over by there.
Oh, not too far then.
Yeah, I'm being very.
Yeah, you're being cagey.
Yeah,
that's okay. Interesting. So the drive-in, close to 70.
Sure, why
74 to 75. It's right around that area.
Yeah.
Throw them off the scent.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we looked probably trying to figure out, we listened to every single animal on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that, I'm like, holy cow, that's it.
Wow.
And
we had a Bigfoot.
Yeah. And a lot of weird things happen over there.
Yeah, this is I feel like a setup. We didn't plan this. Just to let everybody know.
But this is what happens when you have a conversation and you just let it go. A true conversation.
Yeah, exactly. It's been beautiful.
Yes,
I always enjoy these.
I do too.
Yeah. So maybe that's our beautiful setup.
So is Bigfoot alien?
I don't know. That's $1 million question.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either. Something we'll have to get into.
I know a lot of people think so, but he was moving pretty quick, whatever it was.
Well, I don't know no mountain lion that can cover that much ground, and a mountain lion's pretty quick. Don't get me wrong, but Bigfoot probably outrun a mountain lion.
He sounded pretty mad.
Well, but based on that too, I wouldn't put that. It's not something that I would think a cat would make.
Yeah,
noise a cat would make. I don't know. I think you've set us beautifully up for our next episode.
But like I said, it was a conscious decision. It wasn't just like, it's almost like it would be like a human. Oh, somebody made me mad. Yeah. That's the weird thing.
So is that Cheap Trick?
Yeah.
You just start singing Cheap Trick to it and it'll go away?
Yeah. Although I like Cheap Trick.
I like Cheap Trick. That's a good song.
I know.
Oh. Well, Ben.
No way.
Yes, absolutely, sir. I'm staring right at it.
Wow.
The timer doth call.
I hope folks enjoyed this one. I sure did.
Oh, yeah. Well, we enjoy all of our talks.
Yeah.
If everyone wants to come along for the journey and get some God, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all God, man.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the same thing, no matter what we talk about.
I know.
Bigfoot, aliens, the CIA, JFK.
Ooh.
It's all bad.
Yes.
Well, when humans get involved, it's all bad. Because Bigfoot don't know what he's doing. He's just hanging. He's just chilling.
Yeah, he is.
But
I would love to meet Bigfoot. I really would.
As long as he didn't pull me apart piece by piece, I'd be fine with it.
I know. Shake his hand.
He'd probably crush your bones.
Remember Harry and the Hendersons?
He did seem friendly, but I don't think that's an actual representation of what you would get in real life. He seems like a friendly chap, but I'm not sure that Mr. Bigfoot is going to feel the same. But then again, every time you see Bigfoot, too, he seems pretty benign. He's walking away, right? He doesn't want to...
Yeah.
He doesn't ever come up and like try to rip your face off or anything. He typically... It seemed like they're really skittish of us.
Yeah.
Because they're smart, Pace. They're smarter than we are.
Yeah.
I would be skittish of most people, too, if knowing what we know of people.
Yeah, it's true.
So... Well, like I said, I think you've set us up beautifully for the next episode. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
All right.
We'll have to mull it over and figure out what we're going to do. All right. Thus concludes another episode of the Tinfoil Hat Club, I do believe.
That's right.
Bigfoot, we'll catch you next time. All right, y'all. Everybody stay good, and we will catch you next time on The Foil. Take care.
Bye.